Hi guys, Ian from Pantheon Games here, and today I'm going to tell you why I think you should buy the new Naruto Boruto card game, which looks something like this. So for those of you who don't know much about the game, it just came out quite recently, and it's quite unique to some other games in the way the resource systems work. First of all, I'd like to say though, it's actually what's normally referred to as a living card game, which means you buy each of the sets, and that actually gives you play sets of every card in the game. Once you've bought both sets, you don't need to spend any more money whatsoever. Each set RRPs for around £35, so for just £70 you get a whole complete game, which gives you enough cards to build at least 2 competitive decks, if not 4 less competitive decks, because you can actually play the game 4 player as well, so one person can easily have 3 friends with them and each of them have a great time. The reason I said that it's interesting with the resource system is rather than any kind of energy or land or mana, it actually uses something called the Chrono Clash gauge, which can be seen on the top of this mat here, where the game will start at 0 and each time you play a card you'll push the gauge towards your opponent's side, which then means as soon as it goes over, your turn will end and then your opponent's turn will begin, so you have to be quite careful in the order in which you play your cards. Obviously it does mean then to turn 1 you could play a 10 drop if you wanted to. Straight away you have a massive threat on board, but also does mean that your opponent then could effectively have 20 time to play with, as they can go all the way down to 0 before then playing something big to push it onto your turn. The game looks great. And it's very, very simple, with only 3 different types of cards: battle cards, action cards, and then giant EX battle cards, which feel great when you play them in the size difference. Because it's so simple, it means that you can play with anyone. A friend of mine likes to play it with his 5-year-old, who quite quickly got a hold of the game, especially because the game revolves around these symbols. So what these symbols do is, rather than having card text, it literally tells you everything you need to do with symbols. This says choose a battler with 4 or less strength and destroy it. It may look a bit daunting at first, but within a couple games you'll have quickly figured out all the symbols, and it's almost just like reading a sentence. Some people may be a bit worried that they're not aware of the Naruto IP, but to be honest, that doesn't really matter. They designed the game in such a way that you could have no prior knowledge whatsoever and still get a lot of fun out of the game. Also, there is organised play program for the game, so they've already released tournament kits to game stores that have applied for them. So I know that my local Excelsior in Bristol has received them already, and we will be running events for that. The tournament kits they've released give you a tournament pack for entry, which will be any one of the cards in foil, and it does mean that the large EX cards come in a smaller foil version, and also there will be a playmat for the top placer as well. The game is run by Bandai, who are currently absolutely killing it in my opinion with the Dragon Ball card game, which means that I have a lot of hope for the future of this game as well, because they've just at the moment they've just brought out the European Championships for Dragon Ball, so hopefully the game will go in a similar direction to that. Also, the next IP that the game will be releasing under is Godzilla, which is also pretty awesome, especially if you're a fan of that IP. They've said that you can't mix the cards. However, you can play Naruto versus Godzilla. So it means, again, in the future, if you just like the Naruto version, you don't have to spend any more money and you can still keep relevant with all the tournaments and everything that's happening. They've said there's going to be a lot more IPs to come, and so far they've been asking for suggestions, which anything from video games to movies to different animes as well. So it'd be quite cool to see what comes next. The game's designer, Ryan Miller, is very heavily involved with the community as well, who's got quite a large history in different card games, and so even today, as I recorded this video, did a live stream today, just talk about an event that recently happened. Happy to answer any questions. As I said, it's a very, very simple game. Unfortunately, the original rules they released weren't exactly how they wanted it, so therefore there's been quite a few erratas and clarifications made, but it has all been for the best to make sure the game is as fun as it can be. So just to sum up, really simple, really cheap to get into, and just really fun. So if you can, maybe have a demo before you buy into it, or if not, just jump in, and I promise you, you will not be disappointed. See you next time.